Either way, it's going to basically say budget for replacement, and there's no way around it because it's 30, 40 years old. So I can't like say like it's fine because it's you know, it's working, and I can say if it's working and it's safe, I can say that.
Okay.
And technically certify it.
Okay.
But I will say it's at the end of its useful life.
Okay.
There's no way around that. Based on the age.
As much as you can say, if nothing's wrong with it, of course.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, we haven't had any issues with it, but you never know. So.
Yeah, no, and it's just up. I mean, if you're selling the place, you're not gonna, you know, replace it if you don't have to.
Right.
And then worst case scenario, you're just gonna give the buyer a concession so they can put on whatever they want. But where is the thermostat? Because before I actually.
Oh, it's in the house. Do you need to go in there?
I do, and that's actually needs to be engaged, so I'm gonna do that first. And then let's make sure it's firing on. There's the filter. And they do last for a while. It's like super basic technology. You have a gas valve and a relay. And that's it. Once the heat exchanger heats up, kicks on the blower, just the blower relay. So super basic technology. Lasts a while, but doesn't change the fact that it's old. But, you know, I've seen these last longer than this even, so we'll see. Just gotta make sure the blower should kick on at some point. There we go. Alright, let's go inside. So, CO detector was upside down. So right now we're checking for carbon monoxide in the airstream. This is a Fluke CO220. It's one of the most accurate CO detectors. It starts picking up at 5 ppm. Most of like your home detectors are going to pick up somewhere between 50 and 200 ppm depending on how long it's sustained for. So they're designed to keep you safe, but if you have a small amount of CO, which would be indicative of a compromise in the heat exchanger, that's not necessarily going to show up with a carbon monoxide detector in the house. And some of the symptoms of like carbon monoxide issues can be things like headaches. It's not a noxious gas. It's not something you're gonna smell. So you're not gonna be like, oh, I smell carbon monoxide in the house. You're not gonna smell it. And if the concentration never reaches 50 ppm in the house, it's actually not gonna set off. For most carbon monoxide detectors, it's not even gonna set off the detector. And so that's why we're checking visually on the heat exchanger for any type of cracks or compromising the heat exchanger, and then we're also checking for any amount of CO present in the airstream. So that's what we're doing right now. We'll take a picture of this too. I always tell people it's when it's old like that and on its last legs, because we could literally pull this thing apart to clean it and then it's broken. But I mean, it's not common, but it does happen. So right now we're gonna basically pull the blower motor, look at the heat exchanger and inspect it from above. We're gonna do just a basic cleaning on it. I wouldn't really recommend investing in a ton of repairs on something this old, so that's why you kind of recommend replacement unless if it's safe to run and it's, you know, working, then you don't have to get rid of it. So I'll just put it, I mean, it's still like the age forced air system's about the 20 to 25 year mark. But I mean, we've pulled out equipment like this from like this, I mean, the oldest system I've technically pulled out that was still running was from, I want to say like 59.
Oh, wow.
And so it's really simple. There's nothing to it. It's not efficient, but they can last a really long time.
Yeah.
And if they just want to repair it, like as it breaks,
yeah,
they can do that. There's not a lot to it and they're pretty cheap to work on.
Yeah, pretty good.
The compressor's not running.
The compressor's not?
No. So it's either going to be a bad capacitor.
This line would be cold, is that what you're looking at?
Well, I was more feeling for vibration. The liquid line's going to be hot. You hear that? It's like the compressor seized.
This is what it's doing, yeah. So it just kind of...
So yeah, either your compressor's about to fail or you've got a bad capacitor. Or both. Is your filter inside?
Yeah. Yeah, we replace those pretty regularly.
Okay.
By the furnace, you mean?
Yeah.
Yep.
That's probably... So it's starting to fry that.
Okay.
I mean, this is your capacitor. I would start with just basically replacing the capacitor. Mm-hmm. I redid the wiring on this. Mm-hmm. Whether or not an intermittently failing capacitor is the issue, mm-hmm. or the compressor is seizing, like intermittently, putting in a new capacitor. Basically, that's like a battery pack. It gives mm-hmm. it extra running efficiency. When it's running, it kind of gives it the juice it needs to run. Uh-huh. Without it, it won't run. But it's not bad yet, but it's
failing.
Yeah, it's starting to. So
okay.
It's rated for 35 microfarads is the
mm-hmm.
rating, and you're at 33.8. And technically, this has a small it's got a 5% variance, which would be
barely
like
within it.
Yeah, it's like another 0.7 microfarads, and it's out of range.
Okay.
And so that could be part of what's causing that issue. But that wire mm-hmm. coming off of the compressor, this black wire, being like that, where there's no...
Yeah, like this.
Yeah, like not making contact,
mm-hmm.
is, the wire... It's like I said, like, could be the compressor's working too hard and then cause that because it's starting to seize. But if we replace the capacitor, it'll help.
Uh-huh.
And then you could consider putting on a hard start kit, which is basically like a start capacitor that when it first starts up, it minimizes its amp draw because it gives it like a kickstart.
Okay.
That's why it's called a start capacitor. And so it puts the strain on the capacitor versus on the compressor and the other components.
Okay. How would we know if the capacitor fails?
It won't run. So when I showed up and the compressor's not running, uh-huh. but the fan is, that's uh-huh. what made me immediately think you had a bad compressor.
Okay.
Or a bad capacitor, not a bad compressor.
Okay.
At some point it will fail. It's
mm-hmm.
it's a wear and tear item.
Okay.
In Phoenix you swap them out every 5 years.
Yeah, okay.
So
we haven't had this thing serviced since you've been in, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Stop 100 Sure. Yeah, so can try a hard start kit, and I'm gonna throw on the hard start capacitor.
Yeah, let's
to see if
what
it'll
that
work.
does.
And then if it won't start, I'll put your old capacitor back on.
Okay.
I'll repair that wire that was fried for free, and then your compressor's seized. Okay. That's why that's why I'm trying the cheap stuff.
Yeah, I appreciate
first.
that. Well, let's keep going, I guess then.
There we go. You see that? Kicked on. Like I said, I mean, sometimes, like, yeah. So you can hear the difference in the hum, and then same thing you can, I mean, I can hook up my gauges and check the refrigerant levels. So this is the new capacitor. This is the hard start kit.
Okay.
And then I need to just look at the filter you're using.
Downstairs, okay.
Yeah, first, just to make sure, and then let me do miscellaneous.
So does that mean it's not the compressor?
Well, I mean, it's technically, they're all tied together, so it's still technically the compressor, but what it means is that the compressor is working, so you don't need to replace
And this is
the
taking the
compressor.
pressure off of it when it clicks on. It's bringing that amperage down.
Yeah, so it's more efficient now. So when it first clicks on, the start capacitor is in the circuit, and then once it starts up, it shuts off. It drops out of the circuit. The compressor was having trouble running.
Okay.
And so a lot of people would call that a seized compressor, but you can throw a hard start kit on it. Sometimes it'll give it some more life. And so it could, run for like another 10 years over this. And so it's not like something, it's just common. But what's causing it to not cool as effectively, because you're saying it runs constantly and doesn't cool down, is likely low on refrigerant. Okay. And so that was kind of the culprit. So we're just kind of doing some like tune-up stuff. Yeah. Well, this was just to get it running, and then the refrigerant is probably what's causing it over time, but that to where it's not cooling as well. But that fried wire was like 100% indicative of like that compressor working too hard. Good. And it's just like over time going bad.
So if refrigerant level is low, is that as simple as just
adding
with your car? Yeah.
And so. Yeah, and so I'll check, but I've got to check your airflow first. Arrow, it was just the wrong direction. It's not a big deal. Okay. But this is like the support, and so the arrow is the direction the arrow goes. Okay. So it's going. All right. It's not really going to affect performance, but I'll just switch that.
Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Superheat based on conditions, outside, inside, etc. Subcool is set for the unit. This I can guarantee is higher. This unit's probably going to be somewhere between 7 and 9. In terms of the subcooling you want. And so what happens is if it's overcharged, it's just not going to cool the way it's supposed to.
That wouldn't necessarily be responsible for overwork.
Yeah, that'll cause it to
It could.
It could. Yeah, it could cause it to overwork. I mean, whether it's going to cause that issue, not necessarily, but it's going to cause it not to cool really.
Okay.
There's basically too much refrigerant in the system, and so it won't actually boil off the refrigerant the way it's supposed to. Okay. So it does look like it's doing better. Good. And then please keep me posted if you have any other issues.
All right.
And let me know how it does. I mean, I would.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on it. Hopefully it's gonna make it for a while.
Yeah, it should.